Welcome to the City Council meeting for Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. Later on in the show, we will have a time for public input. For anything that's not on tonight's agenda, it will have a 3-minute limit. For anybody who would like to speak on a specified item that comes up, you will also have a 3-minute limit, but that will be as they come up. Could you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Council President Sparks,
Here.
Councilmember Banks,
Here.
Council Vice President Wilkie,
Yes, sir.
Councilmember McKay,
Here.
Councilmember Closey,
Here.
Councilmember Wheeler,
Here.
Councilmember Mize,
Here.
Councilmember Canopy.
Here.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes of August 26, 2025.
Your Honor, I would move to approve the city council minutes of August 26, 2025.
Second.
Motion made by Vice President Wilkie, seconded by President Sparks. Any public comment? Council discussion? Councilmember McKay.
Thank you. On page 6 of the minutes where we were discussing the budget, it says that council noted in the budget message that the new water reservoir cost is expected to be $20K instead of 20 million. That needs to be flopped. And then the roll call vote does note that Councilmember Mize voted no, but then it says motion carried 7-0. So I would like to make a motion to amend those minutes and have those come back up in the next cycle.
Second that.
Motion made by Councilmember McKay, seconded by President Sparks. So we will bring those back up next cycle. The other quote. Oh, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes 8-0. Correspondence, you have the police report for July 25, Jim Irwin resignation letter, the police report for August of 25. Any council disclosure of ex parte? Okay. Before we get going on these public hearings, we have a lot of differing opinions on it. So I would just ask the public to respect each other that comes up and speaks and let's not have it turn into a free for all. Okay, for the on-premise sale and consumption of alcohol at 203 East Main Street. This is the time and place set for a public hearing on the City of Laurel's on-premise sale and consumption of alcohol at 203 East Main. I am opening the public hearing and would first ask staff to present the item prior to the hearing of public comments.
Good evening, Mayor. We have Forrest Sanderson with contract KLJ Engineering and Peaks to planning something. Prairie. Thank you,
Planning
Forrest.
and consulting.
There you go, planning and consulting.
And good evening, Mayor and Council. This evening on all of your public hearing items, I will be representing the recommendation to the City Council from your Planning Board and Zoning Commission in those appointed roles. Specifically on the matter, first up this evening, on-premise alcohol sales and consumption at 203 East Main. The Planning Board and Zoning Commission found that the planner had completed all of their responsibilities. They conducted the review consistent with the municipal code. No variances are requested. The Zoning Commission did find that the Central Business District is one of the few places in Laurel where on-premise sale and consumption of alcohol is permissible, but it is subject to a conditional use review, public hearing, and decision by the City Council. The recommendation is to approve That recommendation was a 5-2 vote for the on-premise sale of alcohol at 203 East Main, and the Planning Board and Zoning Commission did conduct a formal public hearing. That would be the end of my summary. I do have some comments that were sent in post the hearing that I will read into the record, but I'd answer questions first from the council. Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Mize?
Thank you. Yes, I am wondering if this adds an additional liquor license to the city of Laurel, or if it just renews an old one, changes hands from a previous one.
Mr. Mayor, Councilperson Mize, it is an existing liquor license within the city of Laurel. It is not a new license.
Councilmember McKay?
Thank you. You mentioned that it passed 5-2. Can you describe what some of that discussion was and what maybe some of the nay votes were regarding?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember McKay, used to Michelle asking all the questions. I apologize, council member. Awful hard to summarize it there. The public hearing that was conducted, there were some discussions, issues raised that should have been part of your minute packet from the zoning commission hearing. Questions about appropriateness of the location and other surrounding uses may have swayed a couple of minds, but I don't want to speak for any of the 7 members that reviewed it. The fact of the matter is it did pass on the 5-2 vote, and we didn't poll the members for the rational nexus as to why they voted up or down. Try not to do that. You put members on the spot. It's off-putting for board members. My opinion.
Council Vice President Wilkie?
Thank you. First, is this the liquor license that came from Sunny O'Days, transferred to the Pelican, and I understood that it had been transferred back to Sunny O'Days. That property was purchased, I believe, and now we're going to try to move it over to the Owl. Can you explain why all of this confusion back and forth with a permit?
Mr. Mayor, Council Vice President Wilkie, I wish I could answer that. The most important question is, yes, it's the liquor license that has been transferred around the city several times. The why, the how fors, you would have to ask the owners and the buyers those questions. I am not privy to that information.
Thank you.
Councilmember McKay?
Thank you. This may be more for Attorney Brockman. As Council Vice President Wilkie mentioned, there's kind of been a lot of back and forth. There's been a lot of conversation about this liquor license, but as far as what our role is here, can you maybe describe that a little more of the boxes that we need to check as city council, and where it's coming from, the recommendation, and have those boxes been checked as far as legalities as opposed to civil issues?
Absolutely. And I'm going to apologize a little bit. I've been on the phone the last few hours, so I'm losing my voice for some reason. So the short answer to the end of what you mentioned, Councilmember McKay, is that all of the legal aspects of things from the city's end of what we are responsible for, what the city is responsible for, and the decision in front of city council have all been met. And that occurred through the zoning commission process in front of what's been presented to you today. The issues that involve the seller and purchasers to this liquor license and what has occurred are, as Forrest mentioned, between those individuals. And those are civil issues that whatever outcome is driven by either the seller or purchasers will be worked out between them. But as far as council's decision on this particular issue, nothing that's occurred from a civil liability end between those parties should weigh into council's decision on this issue. Did that answer your question?
I think so. So that is to say that as far as all the legalities, the boxes that needed to be checked, the hoops that needed to be jumped through for that liquor license to transfer, as far as what our role is as city council is, those benchmarks have been met.
Yes, they have.
Thank you.
Council Vice President Wilkie.
Thank you. Address the city attorney again. Is the council or the city liable no matter which direction this vote happens to go? Is there a liability out there for us? Thank you.
Council Vice President Wilkie, what I would say on that issue is that as to any land use issue that is decided by council, I would never purport to say that there is not liability that exists. Because as we've talked about, when these particular issues come in front of council, you are functioning as a quasi judicial body. So if the inquiry into this particular issue or any quasi judicial issue that's in front of you goes beyond the scope of what, as Forrest mentioned, the rational nexus test is and the factors that are considered by council, then yes, I would be concerned about liability issues in a circumstance like that. It is not proper for city council members to weigh in on civil liability issues that exist between private sellers and purchasers. So where the concern is that I always have for municipalities and city council members in analyzing these issues is that you only consider the information that is presented to you that falls into the factors that are set out by law.
Any other council question? Did that answer your question?
Well, it doesn't. So thank you.
I think what I'm trying to explain on that particular issue is that it is not proper for city council members to consider in this type of analysis what may or may not have occurred between private sellers and purchasers of a liquor license.
Okay, that's better. Thank you.
Any other questions for Forrest? Seeing none, I will open the floor for public comment at a 3-minute limit. Are there any proponents for?
Mr. Mayor, I have written comment. May I enter that into the record first?
Are they proponents?
I believe so.
Okay,
My name is Paul Tomei. I'll give this to the recording secretary when we're done. 1013 Jenna Drive, Laurel. For the people at 203 East Main Street who are asking to be able to sell alcohol in their restaurant and also have gaming machines, this is an old liquor license that has been around for years. It just hasn't been used for a while. The lady said that they are going to serve bar food as well as steaks and other good meals, and they hope in time that they will serve breakfast. Laurel needs more choices to eat at. The Edgar Bar is one of my favorite places to eat. They serve alcohol and have gaming machines. I go there for the great food, and you need a reservation to get in most times. You look at Sid's, Foul Play, the Palace, the Carlton, they all serve alcohol, but all but one have gaming machines. As a past business owner, I feel these people need to be given all of the tools to help them succeed. They need your approval to be able to make their dream a reality. They say that they have hired a good cook. Maybe this can be the next Edgar Bar or Grizzly Bar. We will never know if they don't get a chance to succeed. Please keep in mind this is not a casino like the 5 in the vicinity of the corner of First Avenue and South 4th who do not serve food. To my understanding, it is a restaurant with the ability to serve alcohol and have some gaming machines. Verify that with them. I was a businessman for 25 years here, and 43 years later, what we started is still here providing a service for Laurel. I know what it is to have a dream and want to succeed. Thank you so much for your time. And I'll just leave that on for the hearing.
so you only had one proponent?
Only one written email.
Okay. Do we have any more proponents for it? Last time, do we have any other proponents? Please come and give your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Jody Broberg, and my address is 902 10th Avenue of Laurel, Montana. I am one of the proposed owners of Redemption Off the Rails. I just want to address the council and say that we want to provide something good for the community. We do want to provide food, just as the letter has stated. Sorry, that was a very emotional thing for me. I did not know that that was coming. We just want to do something good for the community. We understand that there has been proponents, or not proponents, but people against the fact that it has been next to AA. And we understand that. My husband and I have not drank, me for 3 years, my husband for 2.5. We do own a bar out in Valentine as well. We're met with that every day. We don't have a problem with it. We also support people that don't drink by offering alternatives. There will be mocktails available for those people that don't drink that want to come in and eat. We did hire the head chef of the Rib and Chop House. We are super excited to announce that there will be high-end food along with a lower-end menu for people that would like that for lunch, like $10 lunch specials. We want to come into the community and provide something great and not have opposition or cause problems or anything else. We want to provide something for the community. Out in Valentine, we do lots of good things. We run raffles for school lunch programs. We do things for Easter for the kids. I'm all about kids, because kids, elderly, and animals, those are the people we have to take care of in this world. The rest of us can kind of take care of ourselves. I would like to ask the council to approve this. If you have any questions, I would love to answer them, but I would like the opportunity to have a business in this town and do something great for everybody, the children, the people, and the community in general in which we live. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents that are for? Okay, seeing none. Are there any opponents? Please come up and state your name and address, please.
Samantha Decker, I live at 512 Hazel Avenue. When we had this meeting 2 weeks ago and they were talking about the liquor license being at the Owl as a bar, it was not a bar. It was owned by Linda Frickle. She owned both the Board of Trade, as we were told, and the Owl. They only served beer and wine, maybe. They only had the liquor license so they could keep it going. Other than that, I mean, I don't know why we would have that when we were still trying to figure out what's going on with the license before.
Thank you. Do we have any other opponents? Last time, are there any other opponents? Okay, since there are no more public questions or comments, I will ask staff or Forrest to respond to any of the questions or comments made.
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Do you? Okay, since there are no more, I will now close this public hearing. Moving on, we have a zone change from R6000 to RMF Iron Horse subdivision. This is the time and place set for the public hearing on the City of Laurel zone change from R6000 to RMF Iron Horse subdivision. I am opening the public hearing and would first ask staff to present the item prior to hearing the public comments.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Zoning Commission recommendation ZC 25-01. Marvin Brown being the applicant. He is the owner of Iron Horse LLC. The specific request is to change the zoning from R6000 to RMF. These are both residential zones. R6000 is a duplex zone. RMF is your residential multifamily, both existing, generally applicable residential zones within the city of Laurel. The property in question is all of Block 6, Lots 1 and 2, Block 7, Iron Horse subdivision, Section 9, Township 24, East Range 2 South, City of Laurel. Zoning Commission recommendation on the last page of the lengthy report. The Zoning Commission finds that the requested zoning is inconsistent with the Laurel Yellowstone growth policy, that the rational nexus for the adoption of zoning is not met due to expressed concerns with traffic, lack of adequate infrastructure to support the increased density, that the citizens of Laurel have had the opportunity to participate in the creation and the proposed rezoning process. Further, the Zoning Commission recommends the City Council deny the zone classification of RMF on all of Block 6, Lots 1 and 2, Block 7, Iron Horse subdivision. That was on a 4-3 vote. It was split. Are there any questions?
Councilmember McKay.
Thank you. And while I'm dropping everything, I know just kind of like in the last question, that's a really close vote. Can you just possibly describe some of that a little bit?
Again, you have the full transcript of the Planning Board and Zoning Commission's public hearing. In my opinion, I'm again not speaking for or against. My role is to represent what the majority of the Zoning Commission sent to you, and that is a negative vote. But I think what changed the one mind from positive to potentially negative was the discussion of infrastructure in the neighborhood and the apparent inadequacies or lack of infrastructure to support what potentially could be increased density in the Iron Horse subdivision and the surrounding neighborhood. That's my take on the public hearing.
Council President Sparks.
Thank you. So Forrest, could you speak a little bit more about the infrastructure and some of the concerns with that infrastructure and what would happen in, the increased population, all of that for us, please?
Council President Sparks, Mr. Mayor. The discussion, again, I'm digging back 2 weeks into memory. There was testimony provided that there were inadequate sidewalks, inadequate streets, concerns that RMF does allow for fourplex development potentially. That was contrary to what the developer's agent presented at their portion of the presentation, saying that the lots really aren't sloped to where they would accommodate full fourplex development, and that they would do a similar project to what has occurred along, is it Roundhouse Road? I off the top of my head don't remember. It would be duplex townhome type development. But again, the concerns about infrastructure, what in my mind was the driving issue. I wish the Public Works Director were here, or maybe even CAO Markegard would speak to that issue if I could defer part of that to him. Okay.
Thank you for the question. So Iron Horse subdivision was built in 2 phases. The first phase, I believe, started in 2005. It went through the City County Planning Board. It was approved by the City Council. The development progressed right along, and below it, we call the Nutting Drain Ditch. If you're familiar with Alder Avenue, you'll cross over a drain. Bunch of trees, overgrown, kind of ditch. That ditch has been in the city limits since the early 1900s. The property below that was Iron Horse Phase 1. That was developed, infrastructure went in, streets, streets, curb and gutter, water and sewer. And the subdivision developer, Marvin Brown, ran a water line from 12th Avenue or First Avenue across West 12th Street through the northwest corner of the development and then fed the first phase so that they had water redundancy. And I believe that line is a 12-inch water line that comes down through there. They also connected onto Maryland, East Maryland, with water lines at both entrances up along Alder Avenue and then in, I think, Great Northern Boulevard. So there are multiple water lines that are going into that subdivision. A few years ago, Marvin Brown developed the second phase of it. He's put in curb gutter, asphalt, streets. All that has passed Public Works infrastructure inspection. It's currently not being used because there's no lots up there. There's no houses being provided at this point. So there is streets that are up there. People have been using them for the last couple of years, driving through there. Sidewalks are typically not put in until you have a driveway or a development. So sidewalks come after. It comes with a building permit. So we don't require subdividers to put in curb and gutter cuts for the driveways until after they decide, the builder, if they wanted to sell a lot. That building then comes in for a building permit. We review it for the site plan as long as the building plans. And then they are instructed to put in the sidewalk, whether the subdivision improvement agreement agreed to a boulevard walk or a curb walk. That is then done with the construction so that we're not tearing out infrastructure that is not needed or would be destroyed. So you don't want to make that, the developer is not required to put in sidewalks at the time of the subdivision. As far as the rest of the infrastructure, there's stop signs that have been placed at Alder and the higher road up there. Traffic has been using it for 2 to 3 years. We've been waiting for the developer to start building on those lots. So I think power and gas are in. All the utilities are in, the sewer lines are in, the water lines are in, and so it's ready for development. And as to what density, based upon that infrastructure, I do know for a fact that the water lines are looped. They're not dead end lines, and so there's a circular pattern of water movement through there. We still have a little bit of capacity left at the water treatment plant, so we're not destitute at the water treatment plant of not being able to provide housing or businesses at this point. But so that's not an issue. We do have still some room at the sewer plant for taking on additional sewage. Otherwise, the subdivision would never been approved in 2005. So the original approval of the subdivision was 2005. It just was built in 2 different phases. I would have to say, since it was built, we did have a financial crisis meltdown in 2008. And so that kind of stymied some of the growth of housing back then. It took till about 2012 for that to come around and people to start qualifying for loans again. And so the housing in that neighborhood, in all neighborhoods of Laurel, kind of slowed down for about a 4-year period and then started redeveloping. Iron Horse is completely built out. The first phase, other subdivision in town, completely built out. We are running out of lots for people to build homes. And so this is a development that you have on your agenda again tonight, another subdivision coming. But this is one of the things that the city has, that available lots are out there and the developers wishing to just change the zoning. And I would have to add, we are not on schedule for a vote on this tonight because last time at the planning board, the represented owner, he had someone there, but Marvin Brown is here tonight to speak on his behalf. So he'll be coming up here shortly. But without that information coming from the owner, we wanted to have an opportunity for that owner to come and speak to you as council members to review it. I would have to say the recommendation from Forrest had provided to the planning board was to approve, and they disagreed with that approval. Am I mistaken in that? Was recommended to approve the zoning? And
that is correct. The staff recommendation was to approve, but my role, once the zoning commission or the planning board acts, I act as their agent. I have to represent their will, not my personal opinion.
so, thank you. I hope that answers your question.
Councilmember Mize.
Thank you. So I understand we're not voting tonight, but hypothetically, if we vote not to change the zone to the RMF, it could still go up for development. It would just stay as duplexes and single family homes as opposed to quadplexes. Is that correct?
Correct. Again, R 6,000 is a duplex zone. It would allow for two-family homes. And I'll let Mr. Brown speak to this, but as I understand from what the agent presented at the Planning Board and Zoning Commission, the issue isn't the number of houses. It's the setbacks and other development restrictions of R 6,000 that makes development difficult, if not impossible in certain circumstances, but I'll let Mr. Brown or his agents speak directly to that.
Councilmember Canopy.
Yeah, theirs is a height restriction on those also. Am I right?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Canopy, yes, all of your zoning districts, to comply with one of the 12 points that we must apply as to any zone change or assignment, is to provide adequate light and air. The way you implement that through regulatory standards is through setbacks, lot coverage, and height limits.
And that height limit was 44 or 45 feet, if I'm correct?
In the RMF, I believe it's 40 or 45. In the R 6,000, 30 or 35. I don't have the new code completely committed to memory yet. It's only this thick.
Councilmember McKay.
Thank you. In this neighborhood, there are already some fourplexes. Right, like at the end of, is it Santa Fe? Yeah.
Councilmember McKay, yes, Mr. Mayor, that is correct. There are some multifamily lots that were assigned RMF. These are adjacent to,
Right.
and there is some fourplex or RMF compliant development in the surrounding area, yes.
So follow up on that, if that's okay. So there are already RMF in that area. Has the infrastructure kept up with those developments and everything seems to be going smoothly with those that are already existing?
To the best of my knowledge, yes. If the infrastructure wasn't there, they wouldn't be occupied. They wouldn't get their CO.
Is that it? Okay, oh, Councilmember Mize.
Squeak one more in. Thank you. So hypothetically, if it were to pass and we were to allow the zone change, then can we require larger streets or something to aid with congestion? Or are we kind of stuck with whatever congestion might be a part of this?
The streets in the Iron Horse subdivision are built to the City of Laurel's urban standard. They're already there. And I don't believe there's any excess right of way associated with the street and sidewalk infrastructure. If you wanted to expand the street, you would have to acquire additional rights of way, and it would probably become a public works infrastructure job to expand the driving surface from 2 to 3 or 4 lanes.
Anything else? Thank you, Forrest. Do we have any proponents? Your name and address, please.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Colton Knaderud. I'm with IMEG. We're the consultant for Marvin Brown, and then Marvin is here as well to speak after. To give you a little bit more background on this, so the primary purpose of this rezone is the lot coverage that is allowed in our 6,000. And that is what led to, I guess, whatever we'd call that bluish grayish that's south of the Nutting Drain. That is the RMF zoning right there. So on phase 1, those lots were zoned RMF to allow for an increased lot coverage due to some of the topography as you head down to the Nutting Drain. It just gives more flexibility as those lots are developed. As Marvin's been working with developers to start building out the homes in phase 2, those lots north of the drain were identified as potentially needing some additional lot coverage. And really, it's not all of the lots, but we thought it was cleaner to take just that block through, similar to what was done in phase one, to allow that flexibility for the lot coverage there. It is correct, it would change to now allow those fourplex units in there. But as council mentioned, there are some of those out there already. And as Kurt mentioned, that infrastructure was installed within the last 10 years. It's an 8-inch water main, it's an 8-inch sewer main through the development, which is, you know, the minimum allowed sizing there, which still is oversized for the amount of units that would be on there. That's just the residential minimum for infrastructure like that. But that's what's leading to this. I'm definitely available for questions, but I know Marvin and some of his partners that are looking to get building out there are just trying to optimize the flexibility they have as they move forward with wanting to get units built in phase two and start that construction. So, Marvin.
Do you have any questions for Colton before he sits down? Oh, you lucked out. Okay,
right.
Marvin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Let me take you back to 2010. Lots are $50,000 a piece. We built for $130 per square foot. We either sold a lot of houses for somewhere around $180 to $200 a square foot, and life was good. Let me take you to 2025. Infrastructure cost me over $50,000 per lot to put the infrastructure in on top of those lots. Building costs now anywhere from $180 to $230 up to $250 a square foot. Now, what are we after here? It's called density, land use capacity, and affordable housing. You all go to the legislature and whine and cry because we haven't got any affordable housing in Montana. Well, here's the reason. Because if we're going to build affordable housing, it takes bigger units and more density to make affordable housing. Because those lots are going to be $75,000 to $100,000 a piece now. Because I put $50,000 in them, plus the money I had, the land, and of course you guys have been charging me $1,400 a month or a year per lot of the 10 years I've been sitting on them. So I've got a considerable investment here. But the whole key to it is, and I passed out the spec drawings on that, and I'm not, that's a conceptual pod drawing, but those are sixplexes. Those are sixplexes with about 1,400 square feet and with single car garages and internal access to them so they don't clog up the streets and people can park on the internal driveways. But those are the things we're going to have to do to make affordable housing in Laurel, Montana, because it's going to cost somewhere around $200,000 a piece to build those things. And I laid them out with sixplexes on those pods because, you take, let's say 2 of the lots and put the 2 lots together and put a, sixplex here and maybe make a combination of some of the bigger lots are 3/4 acre. You put 3 or 4 units in a pod on the lots. Well, then you've got back to about $50,000 per unit on your infrastructure land cost, and we can still build for less than $200 a square foot. So you've got a property that either rents for less than $2,000 a unit or can be sold for less than $250 a square foot. It's all about economics. And I got to tell you, there ain't no money in playing this game. It's not wonderful. I could sell the lots out and say adios, but Laurel's always been pretty close to me. And I don't know if you guys read my letter or not, but I've done a fair amount for this city. And if we come back in with another plan to build a little more density in the west unit, which is RMF already, I'll probably do that in conjunction with St. John's. And St. John's will probably be the managing firm for that because it'll be low-income seniors and probably a veterans center. And I've already made the application for it, but you know, it's a slow process. It takes about a year to get anywhere near the stamp of approval on that. Any questions? Sorry about the economic lesson, but that's what it's all about.
Councilmember Mize.
Thank you. So, thank you for sharing. When you talk about a six-plex or a fourplex, is there any way for a single family to actually own a unit in that, or they're always?
100% of those units will be zoned townhomes, as the same as we did on the 27 lots across the ditch. They're all townhomes. They can be sold as individual units, and a lot of them have been. I think, what do we have? How many units are over there, Kurt? My apologies. However many lots are over there, they're all duplex, and we've townhomed all of them. And a lot of them, half of them are sold. I think St. John's owns three of them now, and we still retain 22, I think, for rentals. But that's out of 32 or 34 units, whatever we built over there.
Follow up, thank you. So I'm know nothing about construction. But the people I know who are looking for affordable homing dream of owning their own home. And I'm just curious, is there any vision where you can split this up into 6 homes that are kind of close by? I think of some of the little subdivisions in Billings where people don't have big yards. They have little shared parks or little shared spaces for green space, but they feel like they own their own home.
Yeah, and these sixplexes will all be individual. You could own one of the sixplexes. And if they're common wall, there'll be townhome designation. And another reason for the zoning changes, it's 40% lot coverage, where 30% lot coverage leaves you with 70% open space. Who wants to take care of that much yard in Laurel, Montana? And who wants to pay the water bill? Not I. But
That's enough of that.
yeah, and I drilled 2 wells out there, bone dry. It just amazes me. We got water everywhere, and I drilled 2 wells bone dry. But we will put in water systems along the outside. I talked to the Nutting Drain Ditch, and they said, by all means, use my water, and we'll probably pull water out of the drain ditch to run and fill the ponds, the water features. Anyway, I'm easy to find. I hope you got a copy of my letter. My name and numbers at the bottom. If you got any more questions, let me know. But it's all about affordability, and it's all about, making a nice place. I mean, what we've done so far is nice. I don't look to degrade it any more than that. And we like upscale stuff. I've got some good builders. Mike Vinton's online to start building duplexes and triplexes. You've got a couple of guys here in Laurel that are knocking on my door once a week. Are we approved? Are we approved? So if you could vote, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other proponents? Last time, any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Come up and state your name and address, please.
Ron Benner, 1408 East Maryland. I appreciate Mr. Brown's comments about what they're doing, but those were different comments than were presented to the planning board. The planning board, we were presented, those would be 3plexes. Part of the concern that was expressed during the planning board hearing was, once it goes to RMF, it's a free-for-all. City's out of the picture. They can do whatever they want to do up there. They can merge the lots, they can build bigger, they can go multiple apartment buildings if they want to. Affordable housing, yes, but what's wrong with the duplexes like they have down below? We want housing out there, but living out on Maryland, we have bad streets on Maryland, Ridge, and Alder. All those streets feed into this development. Those streets are barely 2 lanes wide. We have 2 schools out there now. with no sidewalks except one right by the school. So if you're putting families out there, how do the kids get down? Unless the county and the city can get together and get rid of the ditches that are around Alder, there's no traffic pattern. The other one, Ridge, feeds down towards the high school. So you're going to put all these houses out there, large conglomeration of them, number of cars, where are they going to park? Under RMF, the city can't say you have to have 2 parking spots for each apartment. For each facility, 1 parking spot is all that's required. The rest of it is a free-for-all. So if you want to open this up for a free-for-all, go ahead and do it. But let's do it in a different part of town. That part of town, we've been blessed with multiple trailer courts that were all labeled as affordable housing. My property values have gone down. I'm surrounded by trailer courts out there now. Let's move some of this affordable housing around town and not put it on a street where there's no accessibility for children. Families, sounds good, but where do they go? How do they get there? There's no parkland there. How do you have a development without sidewalks? So people are walking on the streets, kids on the streets. Our concern and my concern is about safety up there. It's about livability in the city, and it's about spreading some of this around and not conglomerating all this multifamily dwelling in one small location. We don't need it out by the school. We don't need all that traffic out by the school. So when you consider this, don't think about the sewage and the water and all of that other stuff that was brought up. That's taken care of. They've done a good job with that, but they built it for duplexes and single family homes. Now they're wanting to go to 6 plexes is what he's talking about. But once it's approved, what's wrong with an 8? What's wrong with 10? Once you go RMF, there's nothing there that can limit them. So please be careful with your vote. Thank you.
Do we have any other opponents? Last time, are there any other opponents? See none. I would ask staff if they have any response to anything that was brought up.
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Seeing none, I now close this public hearing. Next, we have the annexation of Cherry Hill fourth filing and zoning R7500. This is the time and place set for the public hearing of the City of Laurel's annexation of Cherry Hill fourth filing and zoning R7500. I'm opening public hearing and would first ask staff to present the item prior to hearing the public comments.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor and Council. The first of 2 recommendations that was unanimous from the Planning Board and Zoning Commission. 3 moving parts on this, consolidated, expedited review. We have annexation, a business decision made by the City Council. Is it in the best interest of the city to bring this property in? It's a yes or no question. The second component, what do we want to zone it? Well, your annexation policy says you come into the city on annexation, your minimum is R7500. That's your only single family district left with the changes to Montana's housing laws. It allows for an ADU in the R7500. The developer is requesting R7500 with this annexation. And the third and last component on the 18 plus acres is a 48 lot residential development. The planning board did conduct a public hearing. They checked all of the boxes, all 3 components. The recommendations for annexation, there were, I believe, 7 conditions unanimous to annex them, subject to the typical conditions imposed by the city. Install the infrastructure, the roads, the curb, the gutter, those types of issues. The initial zoning, again, finding unanimous, do approve the R7500. It's what your annexation policy calls for without elevated findings of fact or conclusions of law. And lastly, a unanimous recommendation to approve the 48 lot residential development, Cherry Hills fourth filing, subject to conditions. The planning board did have 3 advisory recommendations that were above and beyond the planning board's authority to say to the council, you must consider this or you must do. The first, and I will read these in verbatim, the first advisory recommendation, the planning board encourages the city council to use the cash in lieu of parkland for the fourth filing to improve the dedicated parkland associated with the Cherry Hill subdivision developments. Such improvements could include irrigation systems and playground equipment. That recommendation or advisory recommendation is consistent with state subdivision law 76-3-621, which is parkland. You can accept cash in lieu. There criteria on how one runs the calculation and assigns the value to the undeveloped, undivided land that is in lots. But the law also allows the council to use that cash to improve parks, or a portion of that cash to improve parks within the area of the subdivision. Doesn't have to be one right there. But if there's a neighborhood park, you could use some of those funds in those locations. The second advisory recommendation deals with the completion of West Maryland and Northwest Maryland, the installation of the bridge, that the city council accept the offer to prepare all of the documents to create a special improvement district for the installation of the bridge across the big ditch. The planning board recognizes there are significant challenges that must be overcome, but the east-west connection of West Maryland and Northwest Maryland from First Avenue to Golf Course Road are crucial to the future growth and development of the city of Laurel. And lastly, the third one deals with a request from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers dealing with the wetland. The Army Corps of Engineers is asking for a reduction in the road profile to allow for curb walk in those sections of the subdivision where they're crossing the wetland. It would reduce the overall impact to the wetland environment, and the recommendation is the city council accepts the minor street design modifications and allow for a curb walk in those portions of the subdivision where the road network is located within regulated wetlands. This minor modification has been requested by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and would require that the owners within the fourth filing ensure that the snow is removed from the sidewalks in addition to their individual lots. And again, unanimous recommendations: annexation, initial zoning, 7 conditions, and the 48 lot residential development, unanimous 12 conditions. I would answer questions.
Questions? Councilmember Canopy.
Yeah, so this process, so that everyone's aware, has not been a 3, 4, 5 year program. This has been a 20+ year program. And being new, as a couple of us are, we did not see all of this till now. So it's kind of an overwhelming amount, and maybe also for the public, that there's a lot of things that have gone on that we haven't been privy to. But so far what we've seen, we've got caught back up to speed. The only other thing is that bridge. Where's that expense coming from? That expense, who's paying for that bridge? I mean, that's one of the big questions that I've been getting.
Excellent questions, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Canopy. That bridge we have with the incremental subdivisions that have occurred, Cherry Hills, first, second, third, now fourth. There are other subdivisions and other properties that could be deemed as benefited properties and would pay through an SID, a special improvement district, that would be subject to a vote to fund and pay for the extension of the bridge. We have waivers in place that are still valid to guarantee certain yes votes, but we're going to have to go through the analysis of what are the benefited properties, what are the costs, and then run that special election to determine if A, we can afford to, and B, the district would approve the installation of the bridge. So more public process to come forward.
Councilmember Mize?
Can a special improvement district include properties located in the county, or they have to be city properties?
I believe the answer to that is yes. It would require a cooperation agreement between the two governing bodies, the city council and the Board of County Commissioners. I know for a fact it works in the inverse when the city's driving or the county's driving a process, but I can't imagine that it's not allowed to work both ways. And you could look beyond the corporate limits to declare benefited properties and therefore the special improvement district election.
Councilmember Closey?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do you know how many properties would be affected for special district?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Closey, no, sir, I do not. That's why, and this was discussed at the planning board, why the advisory recommendation, the developer's engineer said that they would assist in the preparation, which would be the analysis of benefited properties, the costs, all of those things. And the planning board, again, not telling you have to, but it's a really good idea.
Council President Sparks? Oh, do you have a follow-up?
Yes,
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
excuse me. So this property could be annexed into the city and this bridge be a separate issue? So that the bridge is not a hiccup to keep this property from being annexed?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Closey, yes, the recommendation is to approve and then pursue the SID to install the bridge. There are other infrastructure questions that need to be resolved. City water and sewer mains go right where we'd like to put the box culvert. It kind of makes it a challenging exercise. But again, the desire of the planning board is we need the housing space. It's consistent with our growth policy. We'll get the bridge, and they're arming you with a recommendation on how you take those next steps to make that cross connection east-west happen. You're welcome.
Now, President Sparks?
Thank you. This dovetails off of what Councilmember Closey was saying, but this is more for Attorney Brockman. So in the resolution, any recommended and conditional items, so the 7 that are outlined would be part of the approval, but these 3 advisory ones, how would we then go back and reconcile those advisory if we wanted those to be part of this?
Can I take a stab at
Yeah.
part of that?
Yeah.
I hate to interrupt city's legal counsel, but as I pointed out in the presentation, the parkland question, you're going through your budgeting process right now. If it truly was your interest to immediately strike on that component with the parkland, you could propose in your fiscal year 26 budget the expenditure of the cash in lieu of parkland that would be paid with fourth filing on a neighborhood park to deal with that question. The SID, I submit, takes a separate and distinct action by the governing body outside of the subdivision approval. And the third advisory is to accept the curb walk as requested by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. You could include that as a condition of approval, saying we acknowledge that within the wetland areas, curb walk requested by USACE is approved. Your turn.
No, I agree with what you're saying, Forrest, except potentially, I think it could also be addressed in the development agreement.
The curb walk, or yes, that possibility does exist.
because, so just to follow up, so my concern is there's these other advisory pieces that wouldn't necessarily be part of the vote and approval tonight. And historically, we have had a tendency to not circle back to things like that once the initial approval happens. So there's 3 really good recommendations in here that aren't part of the approval, and I just want to make sure that we're not going to lose sight of those, and then end up with something that wasn't the intent of this body.
Mark, you got.
So under the discussion on the cash in lieu, if they're paying, not providing any park, if you can see the above picture, there's lots of wetland in there. The discussion was that there's gonna be lots of area for people to be, but because it's not technically a park, there is a park that is undeveloped in the neighborhood. That is right there. And the recommendation from the planning board was take the cash in lieu. And this is also part of Cherry Hill's first filing. Cherry Hill, sorry. And this park was dedicated in the first phase, but it's undeveloped. They would like, the planning board recommendation was to use the cash in lieu from this development and for the city council to use that money for this park. That I believed was a second set of something the council could do separately, not through the development agreement, because they're essentially recommending, the planning board is recommending the council to take the money that is coming in as general fund revenue and apply it to a specific park. So we would want the council to weigh that recommendation or advisory, but you would need a separate resolution identifying that money that comes in, because right now it's general fund revenue for park development, and that's put in a special restricted fund, and you could use it in any park. The planning board is requesting that you hold that money restricted for this park. Now, is it enough money to develop it? We won't know until we start looking at cost. We talk about doing, say, just the basic is maybe some sidewalk there and some irrigation and grass. And is there enough money that they're going to pay in order to develop that? We would not know until we start getting cost estimates for that park. So that's, I think it's separate. What you're asking for is a separate resolution dedicating that money that we're going to get from this and putting it exclusively for that. So you bind this current city council and any future city council and mayors to only use that money and to restrict it for that location only. Is that what you're looking for?
I mean, yeah, that basically answers my question on,
Yes.
on the house. So then, to follow up on that, like, we would need that to be on a future, workshop as council discussion and then a resolution to follow it. Okay, so can we do that? I mean, like,
The vote and then
assuming,
yes.
but yeah, I mean, can we like earmark that as assuming that this passes? That's what, okay, thank you.
Councilmember Mize?
Thank you. It's unfortunate that the fire department got called out, because my concern when I look at this, and we're waiting on this SID about the bridge, is are we going to have safe ways to get in and get out if there's an emergency before the bridge is built? Or do we need to make that bridge contingent on the development?
The Laurel Fire Department did review the fourth filing, and they'd like to see the bridge. It provides an important east-west connector, but the infrastructure in the area is all looped through other directions. There's more than one way out of the entirety of the development. Other than the desire to complete the infrastructure, there were not elevated concerns for emergency services.
Anything else? Okay,
Last thing, Mr. Mayor, I did receive a written comment. It is in opposition, and I'll wait my turn.
okay. Are there any, Councilmember Mize?
I think we all got a copy of that, and I have a question on the written communication. Can I ask it again after he reads it?
Yeah, when he reads
Okay,
it. Okay.
perfect.
Do we have any proponents for the subdivision? Any proponents? Do we have any proponents for this subdivision? Seeing none? Do we have any opposition?
That was a short sit. Mr. Mayor, email correspondence in opposition submitted by Alina Pedersen. It's, hello, my name is Alina, that I cannot pronounce, Blasius, and I live at 1020 Jenna Drive, Laurel, Montana. I am here to express my concerns with the new Cherry Hill subdivision. I am worried that messing with the wetlands that are back there will cause flooding into our homes in the surrounding subdivisions, as during the winter and wetter months, there's a lot of water that accumulates back there. There is also a lot of wildlife such as hawks and pheasants that live back there, along with many other animals that can have negative impacts on the environment and ecosystems. I will submit that after I answer questions if I can.
Councilmember Mize.
Thank you. So does anyone do a flood report ahead of time to kind of predict if these developments do cause extra flooding?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Mize, I would direct that to the project engineer. They're here this evening. It's designated as wetland, not necessarily floodplain, but we'll leave that to the engineer for your specific question.
Can he step up, please?
Said they were gonna be here.
May I answer?
Yes, CAO Markey
Okay.
Hart.
Before we can even go into the development agreement and conditions of a final annexation, this is a preliminary plat, so you're reviewing the preliminary plat. The agreement will come after they are given the permission to proceed. So without permission to proceed, you have seen the books that they've already prepared. They've done the analysis on water, sewer, hydraulics. They also have to meet Public Works standards conditions going forward. With any development, we have to deal with snow. I mean, that's Montana. So we were gonna, speaking of expertise up in there, I had to plow that neighborhood this last winter. Got called out and I was up there plowing, so there's a lot of snow in there. But part of that is going through that analysis. We'll go through that with Public Works. But before we can even do that with staff, you've got to have the council agree to the preliminary plat. And then what will come after that will be getting into the details, the design, make sure the water and sewer, the DEQ review, and all that other stuff that would be applicable after the council gives permission. Until then, they're not annexed and the development agreement can't go forward. So we have to do the first of it is the preliminary plat, the way the layout is. And then the part of that going in is then what to do with some of those issues that you raised or that this person raised.
Thank you. So if you found that she had a valid concern that her house was going to start flooding, then you could stop after this, or how will her concerns be addressed?
I think Forrest would like to answer that.
I'll catch that one. State Department of Environmental Quality, as they're reviewing the provision of water, sewer, they also look at storm and solid waste. If they don't get DEQ approval, it's the first recommended condition given by the planning board is they have to secure DEQ approval for all aspects that are subject to state sanitation and subdivisions.
Forrest, do you know, is this just wetland or is it a designated wetland by the Fish, Wildlife and Parks or whoever?
As I understand it, it is jurisdictional wetland governed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Thank you. So with that same process that's going to address, stormwater, flooding, all of that, also be aware of the wildlife issue then as well?
The subdivision application includes environmental assessment. Part of that is the impact on wildlife and wildlife habitat. Those findings were, yes, there is wildlife there. No threatened or endangered species would be impacted by the development. And with the amount of open space in the wetlands provided, that the overall anticipated impact on wildlife and wildlife habitat would be minimal to insignificant. Again, their recommendation or their findings through their analysis.
Anything else? One more time, are there any more opponents? I think I did that 3 times, didn't I? Since there are no further public comment, I will now close this public hearing. You ready, Sean? Long night. Okay, this is a variance for signage of Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores. This is time and place set for the public hearing on the City of Laurel's variance for signage of Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores. I am opening the public hearing and would first ask staff to present the item prior to hearing the public comments.
Almost had a tragic accident there and dropped the report. Variance request, variance 25-01, Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores. Specifically, height of outdoor advertising. The Love's property was recently annexed into the city of Laurel and assigned an initial zoning of highway commercial, HC. The highway commercial district imposes a maximum structure height of 45 feet. The applicant was aware of this standard at the time of annexation, but could not request action from the city council until the annexation process had been completed. With the completion of that annexation, they submitted the variance request as outlined in their application. Staff has checked all of the boxes from their end. The Planning Board and Zoning Commission conducted a public hearing. They submitted to you that, yes, in fact, there were special conditions to the property, given the location of the property with respect to the I-90 corridor, especially westbound, that the Planning Board and Zoning Commission, and the vote was 6 in favor, 1 opposed, recommends that the City Council approves the variance request and allow for signage as proposed at the Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores that exceeds the limit of the Highway Commercial Zoning District.
Questions from council? Councilmember Mize?
Thank you. These pictures you've shown us, that would be with their proposed sign, the way that they would like it to be.
Correct. That is all from their application, Councilmember Mize.
Excellent. And so can someone tell me why we even have a rule standing about the height of a sign? What was past reasoning for needing short signs?
Wow. Go back to the discussions of zoning. Excellent question, Councilmember Mize. When the Zoning Commission was working through the new Laurel zoning regulations, there was a discussion, as I pointed out to Councilmember Canopy earlier. One of the standards that we look at is protecting light and air on surrounding properties. One of the tools we use to do that is to limit the height of structures. The definition of structure in the new Laurel zoning code is all inclusive. It doesn't matter if it's a sign, a building, a whatever. A structure is a structure that is attached to the earth and man-made. And in the highway commercial district, at the time, we were looking more at the core of downtown and along old Highway 10. This annexation and these properties, the planning board found had special circumstances, given the topography and the location of the I-90 corridor, that warranted a much taller structure in the form of a sign. And it's that variance approval recommendation is for the sign only. We're not looking at 100+ foot tall convenience store. It's so they can get their advertising up to where it can be seen by the traveling public.
Can you restate that last statement?
The sign elevation at that location is to get it up to where it is visible from the I-90 corridor westbound, where the interstate comes and takes the S curve and their property is kind of down in a hole. Having the sign up, especially as you're climbing over the new interchange, which is where people would have to get off, they have to have that height to have the sign be visible, as I understood the zoning commission's rationale.
Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none. Are there any proponents?
Do I have one? Let's see here. Again, from Paul Tomei, pertaining to the love sign during our meeting, a lady who lives on 12th Street stated that she was opposed to the sign because they have a great view of the Beartooth Mountains and did not want a sign blocking their view. Even one city county planning board member said he didn't want to go to the golf course and have to look at a big sign. The sign faces east-west and they would be looking south. So the only part of the sign facing north and south would be the ends, which is very narrow. I'm not saying that a certain angle on the golf course, a person wouldn't be able to see the sign. They possibly will, but they will be looking to the southeast. So the only thing it would block a view of would be part of the refinery. The sign, even at the 145 feet, which is what the representative of Love's requested, faces east-west. So he gave a report study done on how much time a driver would have to move from the passing lane to the exit lane, and the safest for all drivers, not only semi-drivers. There are many people pulling large camper trailers, ranchers pulling stock trailers. The off-ramp going east comes up on a person really quick, so they need to have as much time as possible. The westbound traffic is just after a curve, so even shorter lead time if the sign is shorter. Where Love's is located, I do not believe the sign is going to affect anyone in town at 145 feet. They are further out of town and many things will block the view of the people in town from seeing it. Just to give you a perspective on the height, Hageman elevator is at 90 feet. With the flagpole, it's 150 feet. The coker plant at the refinery is 300 feet from what I have read. So it's 5 feet shorter than Hageman's with the flagpole and less than half of the height of the coker plant. I believe safety should be your first concern. If it saves one accident or one death, to me, it's worth it. During the winter, that curve has always had accidents, even after they straightened it a little. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Any other proponents? Name and address, please.
Sean Baker, representing Love's Travel Stop. I live in Idaho. The reason for this request is number one, we're a business and we can't do the business we need without being able to get a large majority of our business off of that interstate in time to get to us. Semi trucks, RVs, buses, they all take an additional 10 seconds to, after they see a sign, to be able to get off or go from a left lane to the right lane, and then additional time to actually get off that exit. At the 40-foot height that's recommended as Ms. Brittany can pull up, and that's where the sign would be, the furthest, closest to that pond where the red asterisk is, or red star. Go to the next screen if you could, please. Okay, so what this shows is that 1 mile going westbound, the arrow would indicate basically where the sign would be if you could see it. So it goes 1 mile, then we go 9/10. If you can just keep scrolling, and you'll see that you cannot see at 40 feet, you cannot see where our sign would be until you get 2/10. And how we determine that is we have a sign company, Effective Images, that comes out with a big, huge red balloon, and we put it up in the air and we move it all over the lot to the best location that we can see it the earliest coming down the interstate east and west in this case. And in this case, we're not able to see that red ball until you can see at 2/10 of a mile from the exit. And then if you continue, you're just barely able to see that in time. You can already see the exit right there to try to get off. A semi at this point right now, being able to see this, that's dangerous. They cannot get from that left lane, right lane and get off without causing problems. And we don't want to see that.
One question.
Yes, sir.
What's the elevation of the red ball there?
That red ball, I'm illustrating at 40 feet, what the city's recommendation is for that. Yeah, okay. And so if we switch that and go from east to west, it's the same scenario. In fact, it's even worse in this case, that you cannot, because of trees and other things, right there. So it's, again, it starts at a mile and we're going to go all the way down to 1/10 and again, the sign's behind trees at 40 foot. It's behind everything until you get right to that exit again. So for safety reasons, 40 feet is not safe for us and getting semis, buses, everything off that road. It's just, as you can see, you still at 3/10 can't see it, 2/10 can't see it. You know, you're 1/10, I mean, you're there, you're right, you're getting right at the exit. And so you now just right at the exit, you can see it where it would be on the left side. So if you look at what we are proposing, if you can go to the next attachment. Sorry, I don't mean to be long-winded on this. I just want to show you what we look at in this case. Again, sign in the same location. Okay, so with what we're proposing, westbound at a mile, you wouldn't be able to see it. At 9/10, you wouldn't be able to, it's kind of behind that building, but at 8/10, we now can see the sign. Again, it takes a while for somebody to get over. And you'll be able to see that sign pretty much all the way there. So it makes it a safe situation. And going eastbound, it's really about the same scenario. We're able to see it at 8/10 out. And the United States Safety Council recommends that they'd like to see us have it at 8/10 out, just for safety reasons. And they're not, we don't pay for that. They just counsel many different interstate businesses and so we're trying to be safe. I mean, of course we want the business, but we're trying to be safe. Any questions? Anything?
Councilmember McKay.
Thank you. Will there be additional signage on the interstate, like a billboard or something like that, directing people to that off-ramp?
At this point, there's really nothing available.
Okay.
There are 2-year contracts on almost all those billboards and there's really nothing available. I've got about 20 of them in mind I'd like to see come available within a few years, and then even when they become available, well, I shouldn't say available, when the contract is over, they have the first right to renew it. And right now there's nothing there. Now, can I say that there won't be something come up in the next 6 months? Maybe if somebody drops off or wants to extinguish their contract, but right now there's nothing really available, so.
Any other questions? Thank you, Sean. Are there any other proponents for the item? Are there any opponents?
Good evening, council. I'm back again. Ron Benner, 1408 East Maryland. Want to make a few comments here regarding this. Zoning and zoning rules are there for a reason. Zoning variances are also acceptable for the right reasons. This is a 300% increase over the zoning variance. That's a 300%. So we'll go into the finding of facts here in just a few minutes. But if you take a look at what 145 foot is. And you look it up, 120 feet to 150 feet is a 12-story building. Okay, it's a big sign. And as it was read earlier, yeah, it's going to be crooked if you're coming this way or if you're straight on. But while the traffic patterns are important for the semis and the RVs to be able to see this, what's also important is what's the surrounding community going to see? Because this is affecting that business and those travelers as they pass by. But it's affecting all the homeowners and the citizens of Laurel and the surrounding county every day, 24/7, 365. So you got to keep that in mind too, because that's part of the zoning too. There's a reason for variances and there's a reason for having those rules in place. Part of it is that light and air that Forrest talked about. Montana's tallest tree. It's only 163 foot tall. There's a flagpole over in western part of the state. It's the tallest flagpole in the state. It's going into Moise, into the National Bison Range up there. It's 130 foot tall. That flag is 40 by 50, just about the same size as they're proposing on this sign. You can see that sign dropping into that valley from 6 miles away, or excuse me, that flag from 6 miles away. It's not lit. This sign will be lit. So to help you get a better idea of that, Mr. Mayor, with your permission, can I pass out a handout? So, well, everybody else is kind of taking time too, so I'm going to rush through here really fast. So think about 3 miles. On a flat land, the average person can see 2.7 miles because of the curvature of the land. If you elevate 100 feet, all of a sudden it becomes 6 miles. So I drew a map here. You've got a 3 mile radius and you've got a 6 mile radius. Anybody in that 2.7, that 2.7 or the 3 mile radius will probably be able to see the sign unless there's a tree in front of it. But in the wintertime, there won't be leaves on the trees, so you can see it. 6 miles, all the land up above on both sides of the Yellowstone is going to be able to see that sign 24/7. Have you done a favor to your friends in the county? So let's look at findings of fact. Number 1, special conditions. Is the variance sought? Does not apply to land or buildings. Well, not really. It applies to land, but the variance is because they bought the land. Second finding of fact for creating a variance is not a result of the applicant. Honestly, the applicant bought the land, knowing where it was, knowing the interstate was there in advance, and then came in after the fact and said, now we got to change it because our land is too low. That's the result of the applicant. The third finding of fact becomes, these are off the city rules, strict application is unreasonable. During a planning board meeting, the applicant said, I'd take 100 feet. Do we need 145 feet or can we use 100 feet? We can drop it down. Is that unreasonable? I don't think it's unreasonable to lower that, but 145, I think is pretty unreasonable. You might want to ask the developer here or the sign man why 100 feet would work and why he told the planning board we'd take 100 feet. That's a big difference than 145. Necessary to provide reasonable use. Granting the variance, they can still use this. They're not going to not build there. They've already developed, they've already invested it. Putting a sign at 145 versus 100 feet or versus 45 feet is not going to change the use of the building. It's not going to change the use. Maybe a safety factor on the interstate, but the gentleman said there's no billboards available. Coming from Park City, there's Love's billboard that says Love's Travel Stop is in Hardin, 67 or 57 miles away. That billboard's available. It's out there. They could put that billboard up and say, 2 miles down the road, there's a Love's. Minimum variance. This is not a minimum. 300% increase is not a minimum. Not injurious. Granting the variance will not be injurious to the neighborhood or detrimental to the public welfare. I would argue this is 145 feet. You go out 3 miles or 6 miles and get up on these hills, all of a sudden, you're going to get that love sign. You're going to know what the gas price is 24/7. Everybody in town from the football field, I'm going to bet from the football field, you're going to be able to see that sign. So it's going to be out there. Is it injurious to the public and to the community? The next group that comes in is going to want a 145-foot sign right across from it. We're going to be covered in signs out there. Finally, is it consistent with ordinance? Not really. That's why we have ordinances. That's why we have zoning. But if you change this, it will become the new norm because you can't allow one company to do it Town Pump goes in across the street, they want 145 foot, you can't say no, or else you guys are looking at lawsuits saying, why did you let one person and not the other? So this will become the new standard. I would ask you to consider your friends, neighbors, and the county around you, not just the company.
Any other opponents?
Hi, I'm Bill Tiefenthaler, 2331 Old Highway 10 West. I'm a half a mile past the turnoff where this intersection is at. It will definitely be visible to me all the time. I've seen these down south and you can see them forever. It's crazy. I'm against a sign. It will be an eyesore. If it was in your backyard, if you can see it from your backyard, you probably don't even have to be in your backyard. You're gonna be able to see it. It will be in my backyard. This height can be seen from a mile away. So get some billboards. They can be seen from, like say, there's one that advertises for the one in Hardin. And 45 may not be enough. 145 is way too much. 75, I'd like to see where that balloon would show at that point. Like I say, I'm gonna have to live with this constantly. If it was in your backyard, would you wanna vote for it? I don't think you would. They're gonna build whether they get the sign or not. So let's not put it in my backyard, please.
Any other opponents?
My name is Controlla Peterson. I'm at 39 Figgin Circle, which is just before the proposed where the sign is going to be, and it's his backyard. It's also my backyard. And any of us that live along Figgin Circle, it's going to totally affect not only the visibility, but the light and everything with it. I'm not opposed to them having a sign, even giving them some variance, but I just think that isn't too extreme of a variance. It's too high. There's nothing between where they're building and the interstate. They are right up to the right of way. So there's nothing there that blocks the view from there. There's no trees even in between their location and the actual interstate from that side. And so I understand the need for business, but they have many other ways of advertising. When I'm planning a trip, I plan out where I'm stopping. I get on the internet and I look where the different truck stops are and where things are. And I've got that mapped out long before I get on the road. And there's a lot of other people that are going to be the same way. So they're still going to get traffic. It just doesn't have to all be because of a high sign that's going to affect everyone else. And as what was also stated, I'm not naive enough to know that there's not going to be a lot more development within that area. Well, again, you give the first one that asks that high a sign, and everybody else now that's going to develop in that whole area is going to want equally high signs. And so that's going to affect and make it even more some to all of us that live in the area. And we can't go out a back door and look across, and we can't look across the pond because several of us and some others that are here that live on that pond, you can't look across the pond then without this big sign and that continual light always there. And so that is our objection to it. He was not able to make it tonight, but also he asked me, Randy Remington from the funeral home right across, also asked for me to say that he is opposed to it also. And again, it's the amount of the height. It's not the idea of the sign, but it's the excessive height that we are pretty much against with it. I don't know if this is the place or not, but I also would like to question in bringing the water and sewer in along Highway 10 to make sure, I would like some assurances that it's not going to affect our irrigation ditch.
Tonight's on the sign.
Okay, thank you.
Any other opponents?
I'm in between. I'm pro and O. So we live out on the corner.
It's Cody.
My name's Cody
Love.
Love, 15 19th Avenue West. We own that property on the corner. I appreciate what Love's is doing. They've invested $22 million in this property. So they're trying to advertise to get the return on their investment. Do I question 140 or 150 feet, whatever it is? Yes, I do. They're trying to advertise to draw clients in to recover their investment. Is it gonna affect residential, Ron? There's very little residential there. You have to admit that this is becoming commercial property, not residential. There's progress taking place in Laurel. Agree with it, disagree with it, it's gonna happen. You're gonna have to get on the car and ride the wave. That's what's gonna happen. We all have to accept it. Do I like it? No. Is it gonna hurt our Airbnb? Probably. It might enhance it. Kurt and I might disagree on that. Don't know. So my question is 140 foot too tall? We just went to Fargo, North Dakota and back. We stopped at 3 Love's truck stops. My guess, they're anywhere between 80 and maybe 100 feet tall. Are they sufficient? Yes, I have pictures. I think that's ample. Is it on the corner? Unfortunately, it is. Valley City, it's up on a hill. It's on a swale where the interstate comes through. It's only 80 feet at best. Does it light up the sky? It's doing its job. Is that commercial property? That's where we're heading, folks. It is what it is. We have to accept it. That was our home for 20 years. We opted to move from there because we knew progress was coming. You have to accept it, people. There's progress coming. Do we all like it? No, we don't. It's no different than the power plant down there. No different than a refinery. There's progress coming in America. So I don't know what to say other than that. 140 feet, 100 feet, 80 feet, it's gonna affect us all. It's gonna illuminate the sky. It's not 45 feet wide, it's 22 feet. Is that right, John? 22 feet wide. Yeah, it's I have pictures. If you want to see them, we can put them up on there, and it's part of life. It's coming. Do I like it? No. Unfortunately, that's what it is. So they're trying to recover their investment. So I'm for it and against it. So God bless you with your investment.
Did you want to say something?
Time. You're a
Well, he went both ways.
Oh, you didn't hear me?
Is there any other opponents? Any other opponents?
My name's Gloria Alwyn. We live on the Golf Course Road. I am opposed to having that sign that tall. Every time I look out my window, that's what I'm gonna see. And it's hard enough to have the truck stop coming in there 2 blocks from my house. But we don't need to have way more lights. We got so much light pollution coming now. I can see the Fitchner sign just from my backyard, that big one over by the freeway. I don't need more. If they could lower it down, that'd probably be a lot better. And I agree with Cody that progress is coming. It's going to be more and more. But like she said, once you put the sign up that tall, everybody else is going to do it too. And it's not going to be even comfortable to even live there anymore.
Excuse me, can I add one thing?
Yes, you can. Is there an opponent?
Once again, I'm in the middle. I'm an opponent on this aspect. More so than the sign, what I would really appreciate is, I don't know how we can get this enacted because is that a federal highway off the interchange or is that state? Can somebody answer me that?
The Highway Department is state of Montana, but they used, typically when they do improvements, they use federal funding. But the state of Montana Department of Transportation is in charge of the highway.
So more so importantly, I feel that if the semis do not use their Jake brakes, that would be better off than looking at a sign all day. And if anybody's been around there, which we're there constantly, that's more of a nuisance than looking at a neon sign. So let the record show that. Is there any way we can get that implemented? Asked? Who do I ask? Kurt?
I think I don't know how the city can entertain a highway system that was not within our city limits.
I've been here for 2 hours. I expected something better than that.
Maybe get a hold of Vince Rickey.
Can I ask Dawn a question? Sure.
Well, come on up and
I'm Dennis Sullivan and I live on Golf Course Road, not very far from where the sign's gonna be. But I'd like to know from John, is that gonna be a lighted sign? Yes. Is it gonna be lit all night? Yes. Is it gonna be flashing? No. That's what I wanted to know.
thank you, Dennis. Any other opponents?
I'm Mike Murphy. I live at 10 Figget Circle. And I'm going to ask you guys to please have them bring the sign down. All the local
Sir,
ranchers.
I can tell you right now, the council cannot do that. It's the ordinances or the way it's written, it is at 145. That's what they
So
woke
it's
up.
either yes or no
Yes.
to the 145. Well, then I'm opposed to it. And
Okay.
I would ask you to please be opposed to it because it'll be obnoxious. And they knew when they invested in all this, what they were up against. And it is going to be a negative impact to all of us that live in the area. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other opponents?
Hi. Dan Hughes, 50 Figgin Circle. Hey, Tom. I live directly across the pond from that sign. I sit out on that pond and I look at the mountains and have a fire sometimes, and that's gonna be an eyesore. Definitely against it. Anyways, let the record reflect that. Thanks.
Thank you. Do we have any more opponents? Seeing none, I will ask staff if they have any to add to that.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, clarification for the record, there was an opponent asked if the council could approve something different. I submit that under review criteria 5, if the council were to find that a shorter variance would meet the needs and fill the interest, they could reduce the sign under minimum variance. But that only pointing that out is that is one of the standards contained in variance for the council to consider. Again, representing the planning board and zoning commission's recommendation, they found that 145 feet was the minimum variance, and that passed by 6-1.
Forrest, do you mind staying up for just 1 second?
because I want to make sure that we both agree on that particular issue. Is it your proposal that council could table this issue with the request that a new resolution be presented?
Yes,
That's okay. I just want to make sure we're,
yes, we agree on that point, but just want to make sure the record was clear that that we're looking at the minimum variance as one of the 7 criteria the council must consider. And no single criterion is assigned priority over others in the Laurel Municipal Code. There are other municipalities that say different things, but ours are not prioritized. It is one you must consider.
Okay, staff, thank you. I now close this public hearing. Moving on to consent items.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda for September 9th, 2025.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Closey, seconded by Vice President Wilkie. Any public comment? Council discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes 8-0. You have the ceremonial calendar. You have reports of boards and commissions. Now we have a 3-minute time limit for anything that is not on tonight's agenda. Oh. Seeing none, we'll go to scheduled matters. We have the appointment of Michelle Mize to the Tree Park Board for a 4-year term ending December 31st, 2028.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the mayor's appointment of Michelle Mize to the Tree Park Board for a 4-year term ending December 31st, 2028.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Banks, seconded by Councilmember Canopy. Public comment? Council discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes 8-0. We had the fire chief here earlier, but he had to go. We have the appointments of Cody Alvera, Keith Guy, Justin Locker, and Jarrett Fitchner to the Laurel Volunteer Fire Department.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the mayor's appointments of Cody Olvera, Keith Guy, Justin Lackmore, and Jarrett Fitchner to the Laurel Volunteer Fire Department.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Wheeler, seconded by Councilmember Mize. Any public comment? Council discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes 8-0. Next, we have the appointment of Kay Wilcox to the Library Board for a 5-year term ending June 30th, 2030.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve your appointment of Kay Wilcox to the Library Board for a 5-year term ending June 30th, 2030.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Mize, seconded by Vice President Wilkie. Any public comment? Any council discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes 8-0. Next, we have a resolution number R25-78, a resolution of the City Council to approve a conditional use permit for the Owl Cafe to allow on-site sale and consumption of alcohol at 203 East Main, Laurel, Montana.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution number R25-78.
Second.
Motion made by President Sparks, seconded by Vice President Wilkie. Any public comment? Council discussion? We'll have a voice. Council President Sparks,
Aye.
Council Member Banks,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wilkie,
No.
Council Member McKay,
Yes.
Council Member Closey,
No.
Councilmember Wheeler,
Aye.
Councilmember Mize,
Yes.
Councilmember Canopy.
No.
What was that? I wasn't counting. Five, okay, passes 5-3. Okay, moving on, we have a resolution R 2579. It's a resolution, city council approving the preliminary plat of the property legally described as parcel 1A of certificate of survey 3034 amended 24, being the proposed Cherry Hill subdivision, fourth filing adjacent to the city of Laurel, as an addition to the city of Laurel, Yellowstone County, Montana, with initial annexation and concurrent approval of zoning designation upon annexation of the property.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to approve the resolution number R 25-79.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Canopy, seconded by Vice President Wilkie. Any public comment? Council discussion? All, Council Vice President or Council President Sparks,
Aye.
Council Member Banks,
Yes.
Council Vice President Wilkie,
Yes.
Council Member McKay,
Yes.
Council Member Wilkie. Or, I'm sorry, Cozy,
Aye.
Council Member Wheeler,
Aye.
Council Member Mize,
Provided we add those three provisions in a future agenda. Aye.
Council Member Canopy. Passes 8-0 with a question mark. Okay. Next we have resolution R 25-80, a resolution of the city council approving the variance requested by Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores to allow signage exceeding the height limitations of the highway commercial zoning district.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve resolution number R 25-80.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember McKay, seconded by Vice President Wilkie. Public comment? Council discussion? Oh, Councilmember McKay.
Thank you. Sean, I just have a question for you. You had mentioned that the 0.8 miles was a recommendation of being able to be seen from the interstate. That was a recommendation. Is that a state law? Is that a best practice? Can you reiterate that for me again?
It's from a company that a lot of the interstate
Okay.
businesses use to see what's safe and to have enough time to get over.
Follow up then. So is that pretty standard then? Most truck stops or gas stations or any signage would follow that recommendation?
I can't say any, your convenience stores don't need typically as much as a truck stop would, because their customers are not as heavily based on as a semi, a lot of our customers are semi drivers. So we need a little more time to get them off the road safely than the other ones do.
Sure.
So.
Councilmember Mize.
Thank you. Yes, I have a question for Attorney Brockman. A couple people have stated that they're concerned that once we allow a sign at 145 feet, that other signs could say that that's our new precedent. And I'm curious if you would speak to that.
Thank you, Councilmember Mize. I think that's a really good question. The concern that we always have from a legal standpoint in relationship to any variance is that as to later similar variances that are requested, we do have to, and council does have to, have a heightened level of scrutiny about whether decisions that are made that might be inconsistent with previous variances could be perceived as discriminatory. So it is, and I don't want to minimize this, it is important that when variances are granted, we have an understanding that specific reasons have to be articulated if other and later similar variances are requested that establish that the decision by council later on is not a discriminatory decision. So yes, I think that's a legitimate concern when we look from a legal standpoint at any deviation from what our code states.
Councilmember McKay.
Thank you. In regards to the billboards, is there a reason that this Loves can't piggyback or use the existing billboard that's for the Hardin Loves truck stop?
Actually, that billboard's not to the west of this Loves, it's to the east. I just looked at it again today. It's on that side. And so no, because that's an exit that's by far that way. There's not a billboard on, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. One more, I think. Many of the people that spoke tonight weren't necessarily opposed to the sign, but they were opposed to the height. Is there a consideration for a lower sign? Would that be amenable to Loves perhaps?
The height that we requested at 145 at the top, be 105 at the bottom, is so that we can have 0.8 of a mile, enough time to get them over. We reduce it, it's gonna limit the time people have to be safe and get over. So it's just.
Any other questions? Council President Sparks.
Aye.
Councilmember Banks.
Yes.
Council Vice President Wilkie.
Yes.
Councilmember McKay.
Yes.
Councilmember Closey.
Yes.
Councilmember Wheeler.
Aye.
Councilmember Mize.
No.
Councilmember Canopy.
Yes.
Passes 7-1. Moving on, we have a resolution R25-82. It's a resolution of the City Council authorizing the mayor to execute an independent contractor service contract with True North Contracting. Did I miss one? Okay, look, forget about that. Resolution R25-81, a resolution of the City Council approving a conditional use permit. Wait, for Love's Stops in country stores based upon the recommendation of the Laurel Zoning Commission.
Your Honor, I would move to approve resolution number R25-81.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Mize, seconded by Vice President Wilkie. Forrest, did you have something to say here?
Just that you're not required to have the formal public hearing on this request. The planning board did in fact hold the public hearing. They evaluated the request. The findings were all favorable. Essentially, the only reason this is coming through, because at truck stops, the vehicles stop, the people sleep in their trucks or in campers. The issue comes when you provide service, water, sewer, power. That makes it an RV park, and under our zoning, that requires the conditional use permit analysis by the council and a recommendation from the planning board, which is unanimous favorable.
Any public comment? Council discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Pass 8-0. Now we'll go to R25-82, a resolution of the City Council authorizing the mayor to execute an independent contractor service contract with True North Contracting. This is for sidewalks.
Sidewalks at Nutting Park.
At Nutting Park, and a little extension, so.
Your Honor, I would move to approve resolution number R25-82.
Second.
Motion made by Vice President Wilkie, loudly seconded by Councilmember Mize. Any public comment? Council discussion? All in favor, say aye. Those opposed? Passes 8-0. We have no items removed. Community announcements. Councilmember Closey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to let everybody know that on Thursday is 9/11. It's not really supposed to be a celebration because of what happened. But as usual, the American Legion in Laurel and the VFW in Laurel are holding a ceremony across the street here at the Fireman's Memorial Park at 11 o'clock to honor the fallen victims and also to honor our emergency service people here in Laurel. So everybody's free to come and witness this. Once again, it's 11 o'clock on 9/11.
It's more of a remembrance
Right.
of a bad time. Councilmember McKay.
Thank you. I just wanted to share, Tuesday, I think it was, I was able to shoot a photo for the Outlook over at the Fireman's Park. The Theodore Fitchner Foundation just donated $16,000 to the Montana State Firefighters Memorial Fund. And that was a really, really neat thing to be a part of, and I wanted to share that with everyone that they did that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Council, oh,
Just to inform council, there's going to be a street closure on Second and in front of City Hall this Saturday. They're setting up, I believe, 80 vendors for a fall festival. It went through the special permit process through the staff, and the mayor approved that street closure. So it will impact traffic in front of City Hall. We'll make sure that the emergency services are aware of that as well, but they signed off on it already. So this Saturday, right in front of City Hall.
Councilmember McKay.
I'm sorry, I know we're all dying to get out of here. But we do have the Meet the Candidates event at the yogurt shop on Wednesday, the 10th at 6 o'clock. Yes, and there are a number of candidates that have been invited and have confirmed. And I did notify the attorney and Kurt if there's any kind of publication that needs to go out that no city business will be discussed or whatnot. But there is that event at the yogurt shop tomorrow at 6 p.m.
They're gonna have room. Just the candidates alone would probably fill that place. Okay. Any council discussion? Council President Sparks.
Just a reminder that we have the Public Works meeting on Monday at 6 here in council chambers.
Okay. Mayor updates. Southside is gonna start sometime within the next month or week or couple weeks. And then I would like to state Council Member Closey was recognized by his unit commander, district commander, for recruitment. And what was the other one? For the participating in the national for the Legion. So very proud of him. He does a lot for the Legion. He does a lot for veterans in general. So I just wanted to say, he sent me a couple letters. We'll be posting those on our website or Facebook. What is it? Whichever one you do those on. And just congratulating him for all the hard work he puts in. He was recognized by the Legion. So unscheduled matters, none. Adjournment.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to adjourn this meeting.
Motion made by Councilmember McKay, seconded by Councilmember Canopy. Public input, council discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, passes 8-0. We are adjourned.